What's up, YouTube? This is Tafu, and welcome to my Banished Let's Play. This will be the first episode in the series, and this is going to be an achievement-orientated Let's Play. My goal here is to go through these achievements and try to clear them all using just the base game. So there's two mods that I'm going to be using that are simply models. One of them updates the stockpile models so that they just look a little bit better. It looks pretty bland in the base game, so it doesn't affect the gameplay whatsoever. And the other is Season FX. This is the mod that I typically use, which is the Mega mod. I use that in my other game. I'm going to be not using that. It's got a ton of mods in it, and so the Season FX just creates better seasonal models and textures through the game. Again, no actual effect to the game. The only mod I am using that does affect the gameplay is the unlimited Mines Quarries. The reason for that is I'm going to be attempting to basically create a very large town with a very large population. And if you go through the achievements, you'll see, obviously, I have to get to 300 citizens, 600 citizens, 900 citizens, and then I have to last for a period of time with a population of however many for up to 200 years. So the issue with that is even on a large map, it's going to be hard. If I zoom out here, even on a large map, it's going to be very difficult to deal with resource shortage if I have to keep rebuilding my mines and quarries. Now this is a large map that I'm using. Where's my town? I lost my town. It is a large map that I'm using, and one of the things I have done so far is I've gone ahead and started my town. My town is going to be called Brewstown. This town is, I just started, and the only thing I did off camera before I started was I got it to a stable base. Basically, when you start the game, you have, in my case, I started on medium, so I already had my, my storage barn. Okay, so after a little snafu, I quit the game, didn't save, so we're kind of taking a little step back in time as I resume here. So, again, one of the things you start with is you start with your storage barn. The other thing you start with is you start with a stockpile that has a mediocre amount of stuff. It basically gets you going, and the whole purpose of this was to get the game going to a somewhat stable point so I'm not scrambling and going crazy. So right now, one of the issues I did have that I lost when I saved was I have to get my foresters going. This is pretty important because you need to get logs going into your stockpile to keep up your production of firewood so that your citizens don't die of cold, and to get your logs rolling in so that you can continue to build the buildings that you'll need. Now, one of the important things about growing the population is you have to keep building houses. There has to be adequate housing for people to move out of family homes and into new homes where they can start new families. If there's not, you're going to have kind of a stale population where you're not going to get the incoming youth in time for your elderly passing on. People in jobs and positions that you need to have people in, you'll lose if you're not careful. One of the things I lost when I closed my game was I built a bunch of houses in this back row here. But my food is stable right now. I have two fields going. I have a spot picked out for a third, which will probably be more corn. And I do have my gathering hut over here with 2 people working. So I have a decent amount of food coming in. Everything's pretty stable for the time being. I can't stress enough how important it is for the houses, because if you don't have the houses available, like I said, your population just kind of gets stale, and you start losing more people than you're bringing in because people aren't having children. So you really need to focus and make sure that you have enough housing to really have a good turnover rate in your population as the years go on. Now, obviously, in my first year, I'm not going to have any issue going forward for a few years, but the important thing is I want babies and I want students, and I want them growing up and contributing so I can put them into new positions, because I'm eventually going to have to build very soon a tailor and a blacksmith so that I can have, you know, a constant flux of tools and a constant, you know, flow of coats to keep people warm. Now, one of the things in the early game is you can harvest raw materials from the landscape, and that's basically the primaries are logs, which comes from trees. You got your stone, which is laid out throughout, which you can also get from quarries later on once you have enough resource and population to go ahead and build a quarry. And you have your iron, and your iron is what you would get from a mine, obviously, along with coal. So there's an array of materials that you need to keep a constant flow of coming in. Firewood and logs being one of the most important ones, which is why I always try to build my forester lodge first and get as many people in there as I can, so that I have a good income of logs. As you can see right now, because I'm building houses, I have 0 in my stockpile, and that's because they're coming in. Luckily, I have firewood stored up for this winter. This is a pretty open map. I am pretty happy with it. I believe these are procedurally created on the fly for each new game. I have a lake right over here with a river connection, which means that I will be able to put a trader along this river. I have plenty of spots for fishing. I have lots of open place for lots of open land for putting hunters and gatherers and foresters. This is going to be the primary start point, and I'm going to work my way this way into this area, and probably eventually put a mine over here, and maybe a quarry over in this area. But I want to focus this area on housing and market and farming, and you know, general, you know, building the first town area. And then I'll do some. Yeah, I'll put some fisherman cabins over here, and so on and so forth. One of the biggest thing right out of the gate is you need to have a food supply. And if you don't think of it and you don't do it, you're gonna find people dying of starvation pretty quickly. So one of the first things you definitely want to do is get this gathering hut put together, and then get at least one field going. Usually, they generally start you out with one type, or you'll get 2 type of seeds, I think. In this case, I got potato and corn, and then I think you get a fruit as well. I have to look here real quick and see. Oh, you know what? I don't think I can see it until I have a town hall. Once I have a town hall, you'll be able to see the seeds that it keeps track of, the harvestable seeds that you can get, which you can only get through trading. So once you start the game, you get the seeds that you got, and that's it. You don't have anything else. You have to rely on trading with traders that come to a trading post and stocking that trading post with enough stuff to purchase the seeds. I believe the seeds typically go for, we'll call it dollars, $2,500. And so you have to, I mean, if you want to buy seeds, you have to keep that trading post stocked as well as your storage barn and your stockpile with the things that you need, so that you can sell and trade with the trader. And that's the only way to get, you know, livestock and anything that you don't start the game with. I like to leave these places open. I try when I build these houses in these little wooded areas. Let's see, I'm low on firewood now, which means that I'm going to need to put 2 more people into this as foresters, and that should allow for my woodcutter to keep going, as well as it looks like all my houses are built, so I'm good with that. So right now I just need logs coming in so that I can make firewood. Yeah, so you'll get, you know, I haven't built an orchard yet. Maybe that's what I'll do over here. I'll do a 15 by 10 orchard. I am going to wait until I have maybe 1 or 2 more laborers, so I can have at least 3 farmers, 1 for each field. I'm basically going to try to get through this winter, keep my firewood supply up so my house, you know, my population doesn't freeze to death. I'm not really going to build anything else right now. I'm just going to kind of wing it until the firewood is stocked back up so that I have a better supply of logs, and then I'm probably going to build my first, probably the fishing dock, and then I'm going to be going for a hunter at some point in the very near future, because I'm going to need leather to be able to build the tailor, so that the tailor can make clothes. No, it's interesting. Playing this game without mods is a lot different because the mods, there's a lot of, most of the mods that people typically play with this game, especially a big bundled one like the one that I have, there's a lot of stuff to it. And in all honesty, it's a little overwhelming at times. There's a lot of buildings, there's a lot of variation, and for anyone trying, especially if anyone's looking for keeping an aesthetic to their town and making sure everything looks the same, it's really difficult because a lot of the houses, the people who mod them and make new houses, they all look different. So you kind of got to pick the one that you like and go with it, because you can't, I mean, one of them, there is in that one, if I build the wooden house, for instance, right now in the base game, you can upgrade to just a stone house. But one of the options one of the mods does give you is not only can you upgrade to a stone house, but you have an option to upgrade to 2 other styles of houses that have, offer a little bit more room for more people. But yeah, they introduced, it introduces a lot of additional materials, so everything from sand and clay to making bricks and building supplies and furniture, stores and all kinds of crazy stuff. And like I said, it can get a little overwhelming, and there's a lot to do. And one of the most difficult parts about it is that the developer only created, when he created his mod kits, he only allows for a certain number of custom flags, and flags are what they use to identify, one flag is logs, one flag is stone, so on and so forth. So eventually, at some point, they introduce all these materials in the game, and a bunch of them are all tied to one flag, so you have to, really ramp up. You'll see here, if I go to the Forester Lodge, there are limits that you can put on the supply coming in, so that what it does is it makes sure that your stockpile has a diverse amount of materials, as well as a consistent amount of each material. But in this case, you have to, at one point in my other city, I had to cram this up to 10,000, because I had 15 or 20 different materials that were all flagged onto that one limit. So that's why I decided to peel off and come back and start another city. Really no major mods to the game. Like I said, the only one that I'm doing that affects the game is for sustainability, so that I can actually keep going and not suck the land dry by the time I hit that last achievement of, I believe it was 200, a population of 500 for 200 years. And it's going to take a while to get to a higher population too. Even in my other city that I've been playing for a while, I believe I've only got about 150 people in it, and I've been playing for a few weeks, so we'll see what happens here. It's going to be interesting trying to do this with no mods. See how my food supply is. You have to definitely keep an eye on your food supply, and in order to keep your health up too, you have to at some point at least create an herbalist, and that will bring in herbs and medicine used to keep the population healthy. Got 3 laborers, so I think one of the next things I'm gonna do is I should probably do a hunting cabin. That'd probably be the best thing to do. So let's pick a good spot here. You want to make sure when you do this, you pick a good spot, because you'll see the outline of where they're gonna hunt, and you want to make sure that you're not see this mountain right here. It's kind of in the way. I'm gonna put this here. Every building has a cost, typically logs and stone, some iron later in the game. If I was going to upgrade that, I would need 10 iron, 24 logs, and 40 stone. Now, I don't know the full history of this game. Like I said, I just found it recently. Apparently it's been around since the 2014-2015 time frame. It's a really good game. It's really well balanced. The mods are a little finicky. It has issues with loading sometimes when you start introducing mods. That's another one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of get away from it, so that I could just kind of play the game and try to get the achievements. I'm really interested to see how far I can get with the achievements. But yeah, he is still, I guess, I don't know if it was built by one person or how the game came to be. Like I said, I hadn't heard of it until recently. It was on sale at GOG.com, and it's a very well done game. I do wish that over the last 2 or 3 years that there was a little bit more raw content into the base game. He does a lot of work on the mod API and the game's ability to let modders do things, as to let the modders kind of drive the growth. But like I said, it can be finicky when some mods don't work with other mods, and it can kind of create an issue. So I would like to see some additional development, some additional content, new buildings, maybe some upgrades. Yeah, I would like to see some additional content added. But for the time being, it's cool enough. I do like it a lot. I like the difficulty of it. You can obviously make it a lot more difficult through some of the settings. You can start off in a much harsher condition. Alright, so I got my hunter cabin built now. I'm going to go ahead and put immediately 3 hunters right into it. Now this will help with food as well, because they'll bring in the hunter generally brings in venison, which is the meat, and it will bring in leather, which will be used to create clothing or coats generally at the tailor. So I got to kind of think about how I want to build down this way. I've obviously definitely put some real estate into crops right here. I do want to put another field right here, possibly an orchard. I generally do 10 by 15, and if I was to right now, go ahead, let's see, 10 by... Nope. What did I do? What size did I do this time? I did 10 by 12. So if I was to do this again, I would do 10 by 12. Yeah, it's going to kind of block off the roadway I wanted to put there. I can build out one more, just like that. So that will kind of quarantine that area. And then I'm not going to build over into this region, because as you can see, I want to try to stay out of where the forester is going to grow new trees. And the cool thing with the foresters is, if you get to the point where you're at your log limit, or you've got maybe more than one forester lodge, and you've got a lot of people working at it, you can tell them to stop cutting. It has 2 different work modes that they're both active at the by default they're both active. They will cut and plant at the same time, but you can turn off one or the other to facilitate. For instance, if you wanted to just clear the land, you would take off planting, or if you wanted to just plant the land, you could take off cut. So that's an interesting little variable to that. Let's see, we're already getting back to autumn here. My food is way up. I'm not even going to build that new farm here yet, because I don't think there's going to be a need to. As far as what I have, yeah, I definitely have a surplus of potato and corn. Don't even really need to utilize the gatherer too much, so I'm going to take one back from the gatherer, just have one person bringing in. You want to have a diverse range of foods and whatnot, because that also contributes to the health of your population. And then obviously at some point I'll start bringing in, I'll have cattle, I'll have chicken, I'll have eggs. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Alright, so I think in this area what I'm going to probably do is do 10 by 12 pastures, orchards maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and build the outline, and then this area will be also quarantined for other things. I like to leave the places where I'm going to build, like you'll see like right here over where my houses are, I like to leave the landscape as is. So all the iron, the stone, the trees, I like to leave, and then when I build, hopefully like you see right here, I get some houses and some little things that, because there's not a lot, like I said, there's not a lot. You can add the mods, there's all kinds of decorations and stuff that you can do. You can put flora down, but from a base standpoint, using just the base game with no mods, it adds a little bit of personality. Like these few trees right here behind my storage barn, they'll probably stay there. I probably won't build anything here because I want to keep them there. It adds to the charm of the town. My food situation is fine. I do have leather coming in now. Yes. So I think one of the next things I'm going to build is my tailor, and then I'm going to obviously get to my tools, because as you can see, my iron tools are running low too. In fact, I might want to build a blacksmith first. So let's go ahead and go to resource production, and I'm going to build my blacksmith. Now, let's see what my radius is here. Yeah, I feel okay with that. What I'll do is I'll do some buildings here. So I'll put my blacksmith along the road here. Yeah, and I'm going to need some more stone and iron, so I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, stockpile's pretty full. I'm going to need another one pretty soon. Maybe I'll build one right between the tailor and the blacksmith. Or I could just build another one right back here, because I'm going to go back through here with the road, and that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to build another stockpile right behind it, same size. What's the size? It's 4x6, so I'm going to do the same thing. And there's a road in the way, so let me get rid of that road. Oh, or actually, can I go the opposite way? That's 3... Yeah, I can do that. So right around my woodcutter, I'm going to have a 10x3 stockpile as well. And that'll help make sure that I've got room for my incoming supplies. Alright. Good job, people. Way to work. Alright, so my blacksmith is building as we speak. Food situation's still good, so I'm going to keep it with just the one gatherer for now. I have no fishermen yet. Getting the 2 fields going right away really helped, because with the potatoes and the corn, you really get a decent quantity and it lasts a long time. It really helps through the winter. See, like right now, they're going to make more food. So I'm probably going to hit my food cap pretty quickly. It's at 5,000. Yeah, I'm probably going to, maybe in the next 2 years, just with the way it is right now. Now, after I get my blacksmith and my tailor going, I'm probably going to try to get a school up, because you really do, I mean, educated people work better, period. That's the way the game is designed. Now, until I get my mine and my quarry going, this is what I'm going to be doing to get my stone and iron, is the laborers will go out and they'll harvest what I tell them to harvest. I generally leave the trees alone because I got my forester going. I have an influx of trees and logs coming in. So right now I'm pretty stable in that regard. Now there's really only... You've got your woodcutter who builds your firewood, or cuts your firewood, I should say. Which is, you know, probably that's key. You gotta heat your homes. You have your foresting lodge, which brings in logs. Your herbalist, which I'm gonna have to get going pretty soon too to keep my population's health up. They will provide herbs and simple medicine. Your blacksmith, which will create your tools, so you can go iron, or once you start getting a decent amount of coal, you can create steel tools, which last longer. Your tailor, who will make clothes, and the most critical, your tavern, who will brew alcohol and make your citizens happy. Now that is, my town is called Brewstown, so I'm hoping at a slightly later stage in the game I will have a massive orchard with a stockpile right next to it, and a tavern right next to that, to try to focus the creation of alcohol, or ale in the game. And not only will that help me with keeping my citizens happy, creating ale is a great thing to put in the trading post later in the game. And then you can also build a mine and a quarry. Now, the mine and the quarry, that is that one mod that I have that will make it more easily sustainable, because realistically, when you start building these, it has each one has room for 15 workers. That is a lot of workers. It is hard to keep 15 people in a mine or a quarry. So you obviously start out with a lower population. And if your quarry just runs dry eventually, and then you're in trouble. You know, you need to make another mine. You have to keep constantly creating resources. And I understand this is part of the game, it's part of the challenge. But I really think using it isn't that big of a deal. Maybe it is. I don't know. Comment down below and tell me. If you don't like the idea of it, this first episode, I'm not going to have a mine or a quarry anyways. If you'd like to see this, bare bones, no mods that affect the gameplay, I'll turn it off and try to make it work. Okay, so my tailor has completed. I'm going to go ahead and place one of my laborers in the tailor position, and now my leather will start getting used to create additional hide coats, which I am just in time because I'm running low. So the leather, every time the hunter delivers product, they will deliver leather, along with sometimes surrounding, like they'll clear logs occasionally if they need to. So obviously this season I've got leather and venison, so my food is really okay for the time being. I think I'm going to be good. I might put another cornfield, or like I said, another orchard here. I'm not quite sure yet. It'll probably be another cornfield, to be honest, because like I said, I really want to... When I create my tavern, I really want to have it be, like, have the orchards right near there with a storage area so that the people who work the fields bring it to the closest storage area, and then the storage area have it obviously right next to the tavern. I want to see if that will help, because once you get a market in, the market comes to your storage barns and takes your stuff and puts it in the market, and then it becomes hard to keep the ale, keep the ale flowing, so to speak. Alright, so this will be my little stopping point for now, for recording. I will be playing off camera as well, and I will recap the things I've done at the beginning of the next episode. Like I said, about the mod, I won't do anything. For the time being, I'll actually shut it off. Comment down below, tell me if you want me to turn the mod off. If so, I'll definitely turn it off, and we'll play this. Still go for all the achievements and try to do it all from the base game with no game-affecting mods. So, until then, take care. Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give me a big thumbs up and click on the bottom left to subscribe to my channel. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video links to the right. Thanks again for watching.